And so one of the things that I kind of dealt with early on, working where I'm at now, is if I would hear one of those boys say it, whether it was one of the players or one of my employees, I'm very quick to be like, no, like you don't get to say that here. Like if you want to say that at home, like that is your prerogative. You will not say that language here at my rink. Name is Courtney Stevens. Ignore the Allison Weber because that's not my name. And I'm 30 years old. I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. I grew up in a suburb just east of St. Paul. I'm currently an assistant arena manager at one of the largest rinks in the United States. I grew up playing hockey. I still play hockey. I love watching hockey. My dad's Canadian and my mom is Minnesotan, so I didn't really have much of a choice with my passions. So
That's awesome. And how did Courtney get into the sport?
well, my dad's Canadian, and he moved down here when he met my mom. And he's a huge hockey guy. Like he, of course, grew up playing, grew up watching all that. And so, some of my earliest memories are him teaching me how to skate on the outdoor rink close by our house. And I think it was one of those things like my family loves hockey and it's always on the TV. There was always on the TV growing up. And so I just couldn't help but be drawn to it. And of course, like growing up in Minnesota, especially around the time that I did, girls hockey really took off. And it keeps getting bigger and better here. We're really lucky in Minnesota to have a community-based model. So it's expensive, but it's not nearly as expensive as I think it is in Canada or other states due to the travel. And so when I was in second or third grade, started playing organized hockey. And of course, before then, it was mini sticks in the basement and making my brother sit in the net so I could shoot on him in the garage and all that. And started playing organized hockey. We moved to a different city where we started playing traveling hockey. And that's really where I found my people, my group of friends. There are some girls who I started playing with at 10 years old that I play with today. And so really like those bonds are, they're forever, they're lifetime bonds. Um, and so growing up, I was always a rink rat. I went to school in Wisconsin. I got a degree in mass communications and kind of did the 9 to 5 business for a little while. On a whim, I got a part-time job as a Zamboni driver at the rink that I grew up at and really kind of redeveloped my passion for the sport and just being at the rink, which has led me to being a manager of a facility today. So
Very cool. And what do you love about hockey?
I love the camaraderie of it. The game itself is just exciting. I think, if you bring someone who's never been to a hockey game live before, like they are just in awe of like how fast paced it is, how physical it is, the athleticism. And especially here in Minnesota, like we are just very passionate about the sport. So it's like you don't even need to bring them to like a Division 1 college game or a pro game. You can bring them to a high school game, and I feel like people are just kind of drawn. Like their hockey just kind of has this like mystical thing about it, right? Being on ice, it's very different from other sports. So just like the game itself, like I love playing, I love scoring goals. It's kind of a flex that like I can skate really well and like not really well hockey speaking, but like compared to the average human being, I can skate. And so that's, you're out there and it's like you're flying and there's just not really a feeling any feeling like it. And just the biggest thing is like the people that I've met, like there's some bad apples out there, of course, but I love being around hockey people. Like that's why I choose to work at a rink and have to like pick up blood and puke and all that, because I really enjoy the people that I get to interact with on a day-to-day basis. And just, getting paid to watch hockey is pretty fun.
That is fun. And I don't envy you in terms of the picking up teeth, vomit, and
Yeah,
blood. Um,
it's not fun.
Based off your intersection of identities, how could hockey be better for you? And also, how could it be better for the queer community as a whole?
Well, so it's one of those things where like I'm out at work, I think living in the Twin Cities of Minnesota helps a lot, like being in the city itself versus being in the outskirts. I think you can live a pretty like open life. But that being said, it's like especially with young men between the ages of say 12 and 17, you hear them say like, oh, that's so gay, or like, stop being a fag, or things like that. And so it's really tough to hear those words, obviously, because I think they don't they don't get how hurtful those words can be. I think they're just saying it because like they've heard that so gay as like a synonym for like that's so stupid, right? At the same time, you know, typically the people you're interacting with are cis heterosexual white males, and there besides like there really isn't a lot of like derogatory terms for cis heterosexual white males, so they don't get kind of the really hurtful meaning behind those words. And so one of the things that I kind of dealt with early on, working where I'm at now, is if I would hear one of those boys say it, whether it was one of the players or one of my employees, I'm very quick to be like, no, like you don't get to say that here. Like if you want to say that at home, like that is your prerogative. You will not say that language here at my rink. And I think part of that is because um, I love hockey. Um, by and large, mostly, I feel very safe at the rink. And I think that comes with being white. And I think there just isn't quite the stigma with gay women in hockey as much as there's the stigma with gay men, right? Um, and so I've been very fortunate to find my safe space at the rink. And I want everyone else to have that. And so I think kind of one of the responsibilities I take on is I don't want that language being used at my rink because I want everyone to feel safe. I don't want to hear any racial slurs. I don't want to hear any homophobic slurs, anything like that, any sexist language. No. Like, because hockey is such a great game and it has had such a positive impact on my life, but I know that it has had a very negative impact on some people's lives just due to the gatekeeping nature of certain people in the game. And so that's kind of my whole thing, is I just want to create a really safe environment, and I can do that at my rink. And so hopefully the culture that I am trying to create or whatever might kind of move out to other different rinks. And I'm assuming at some point in my life I will work at another rink, and it's the same thing. Like that language is not going to be tolerated. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that at my rink, not when I'm in earshot.
So, knowing that language and those behaviors still exist, what keeps you in the sport?
Because I love it. Because I love it, and because for every for me, every negative interaction I've had, there's at least 10 positive interactions. And because again, like I want to share my sport with everyone. Like, and so I still play hockey, right? And I'm in the locker room with my teammates, and I'm not hearing that from them. And part of it is like that is just not who they are. I don't think we would tolerate any behavior like that on our team. We have one girl on our team who is not white, and she's the only not white person in our league. And I've been talking to her, and like she's not black, but she's been called the N-word before. Yeah, but she's very dark Indian, and it's like my team would never tolerate that. Like if let's say we were playing against a team with a person of color, and one of our teammates said that, we would kick them off the team and be like, that's absolutely not okay, and explain to them why it's not okay. And so I think one of the biggest things that's kept me in the sport is that I've been very blessed to be around people who are empathetic to people of color or the LGBTQ community. And so I'm very fortunate that way, that luckily the people that I have been fortunate to be surrounded with are really good people who kind of have the same vision that I have as far as making hockey a more inclusive place.
What gives you hope for queer people in the sport?
Certainly not reading the comment sections whenever NHL teams post anything related to like a pride night or you can play. However, just the fact that teams are like, it's that effort right now. And I found out about you through Bar Down Beauties, and I thought you had a lovely conversation with Jesse and Alexis and Fred about like performative allyship. And I feel like we're kind of at that space with a lot of NHL teams where like it's time to make that next step. And I'm not entirely sure like what that looks like or what I can do. But just the fact that like we're there and they are like, you know, with the pride nights and you can play and like there is an effort being made. I would like to see more of an effort, but I know that that effort needs to come with the fans themselves and not necessarily directly the organization. And so it's just, you know, it's up to us as the fans to kind of like shut down the negativity from other fans for being like, ooh, why isn't there a straight pride night? And it's like, you know damn well that the Old Navy 4th of July sale is coming up, so don't even act like that. So like that's just it. It's like I really appreciate the steps that like specifically NHL teams have taken to try to make the LGBTQ plus community feel more safe in their space. Um at this point though, it's I don't know what more I need from them as much as it's trying to change people's perceptions of the LGBTQ community who are so just viscerally against having a pride night, right? Like why do you have such a problem with that? And so it is rather disheartening to like, you know, and I try not to for my own like mental health to like see the comments when like Minnesota Wild's my team, right? And so if they post something related to a pride night or you can play or any like even because there's like intersectionality, right? So like Juneteenth, um seeing fans who love a team as like as much as I do just like really hating on that, like that is disheartening. But I really feel like there's more people who are like don't care like in a good way, like no, hockey is for everyone, like please join us. It's just it's that very loud minority that ruins it for everyone else.
So true. And I gotta tell you, people like you give me hope.
Mm-hmm.
You're there in arenas every day. You're influencing culture of youth all the way up to adults. And I want to thank you for that because it matters. And your representation matters, your existence in those spaces matters, and it's going to make it, there's a ripple effect that will happen from that. And it's going to impact so many people's lives. So thank you.
Yeah, and I, you know, that's so in the Twin Cities, there's quite a difference politically between certain suburbs. Like I grew up in a very liberal suburb. My brother and sister-in-law live in a very liberal, like socially liberal suburb. They're wealthy, but they're very socially liberal. Where the area that I work is very conservative. And so the high school kids that are like my employees, I don't take my responsibility of probably being the first gay person that they are around lightly, because I know that if they have a positive relationship with me, that is, they are going to have like associate like positive feelings with like future gay people and like understand like, you know, we're people, like that's, we're people, and you know I just so happen to love another woman type of thing. And so I appreciate you saying that, because I really hope that that is the case, and that just being around me and like being my authentic self, um those kids when they go to college and they meet other queer people, they're not afraid. They see that person just as a person versus like, oh, like you're a gay person. You know what I mean?
Totally. Courtney, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
I really appreciate it, and keep changing the world.
Yeah, trying every day, right?